Hi, this is Mimi from the Lilac Wind. What you're viewing here is the beginning of part 2 of the Viking knit bracelet kit. If you followed along in part 1, you have your Viking knit chain already pulled through the draw plate. So I've assembled my pieces to make a bracelet. I find that this is a beautiful chain, but it's a little wimpy to support a lampwork bead, which is the focal of my bracelets. So what I do in my bracelets is I put a spine in the bracelet of heavy gauge wire, which is in your kit. As I said in part 1, if you'd like a kit, you can contact me at lilacwind@cox.net. Anyway, you need to decide what size your bracelet should be. My bracelet, I'm going to measure my wrist, and it comes out to be 6.5 inches. To that measurement, I'm going to add a half, which comes out to be 7 inches. So that's my desired length. So keep that in mind. In your kit, it tells you how to do the desired length, or how to do the measurements for your own size. You're going to need some round nose pliers to do this part, and the first thing I'm going to do is come down about 1 inch from the end of the heavy gauge wire, and I'm going to make a wrapped loop. So I bend my wire back and then bring this up and over and around. I change hands at this point, take my flat pliers, holding very tightly with the round nose, and I'm going to wrap this section sorry, I have a thicker wire here. I need to put that one down and start again. Luckily I have another piece here. Sorry, that was about a 14 gauge. I don't know how that got with my project. What we need here is a 16 gauge wire, so I'm going to start again. I'm going to bend my wire back at about 1 inch, bring this up over the round nose plier, so I have the beginning of a loop, switch hands, and I'm going to take my flat pliers and wrap this portion around the stem of my bracelet, or the spine. So you can see I've got the wrapped loop. I've got the wrapped loop right there. And for my Viking knit kit, that is the non-sterling kit, you have jump rings that will open. So I need to open my jump ring by twisting it, grab onto the 16 gauge wire loop, and add on my clasp. Then I close the loop up again, making sure that the ends touch. So now I have my end on, my clasp on. I'm also going to add on a jump ring that will be my second jump ring for the clasp. So as I said before, you need to calculate the length of your bracelet, the desired length. You're going to add the 1/2 inch to your wrist measurement, which mine came out to be 7 inches. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure on my ruler here from the second jump ring out to my 7 inches. As I said, I'm going to add 3/4. I'm going to mark that right on the wire itself with a magic marker. Okay, now I'm going to feed on my beads. These don't go on here in any special order at this point. So what the beads you got in your kit, you've got your lampwork bead, you've got your spacer beads, 2 spacer beads, you've got either daisy spacers, or you have stars. star spacers. And add those on. Now I'm going to take the measurement again from the end of the beads to the mark that's on my wire, the heavy gauge wire. And I come out with a measurement of about 5.5 inches. That 5.5 inches is got nothing to do with the spine except the spacing measurement. My 5.5 inches, I'm going to come over here and I'm going to add 3/4 of an inch, so that gets me to 6.25 inches. 6.25 inches is what I need to cut of the chain. So I'm going to come here, cut the chain 6.25 inches. Now I keep adding on a little bit. The reason being is, see, these little pieces fall off, so a little bit of the chain comes off when you cut. I've also cut off that the copper wire. That's already gone off my chain right now. That measurement there is for the complete amount of chain that you need. So now I need to divide this in half. So I come here, I had 6 and it was about 6.5. So now that's going to give me about 3.25 inches. So I'm going to cut again right through the chain. And again, bits and pieces are going to fall off. Hopefully the chain is about the same size, which it is. Because I've added extra along the way, you have plenty of chain. This allows for error, and I know that you're not going to be short on chain. You might have to cut some more off, but you're not going to be too short. Okay, so go back to your thick wire, and now I'm going to put my parts and pieces on in the correct order. This piece here, here's my mark on my wire. I can cut that safely, cut a little extra of the excess off, about 2 inches beyond that mark. I'm going to add my end caps and my Viking knit chain. Those nest right inside the end caps. You notice too, I can squeeze the Viking knit chain a little bit, and it gives me a little leeway for measurements. Put the other cap on, the other side. This looks like I haven't quite gone into the right, yeah, I guess I'm good. Alright. Now I'm going to add my decorative silver bead. Oh. Another daisy spacer. My lampwork bead. Daisy spacer. Or if you have a star in your kit, you add your decorative beads. An end cap. Piece of Viking knit chain. Now I can see I'm going to be big on this, so I'm going to end up cutting some off, but that's okay. I know that you're going to have plenty of chain. I just don't want to see you get to this point and not have enough chain. So nest that in to the end cap, so your ends go in there. Well, we'll see. There's my mark right there on my chain. So maybe I don't have as much as I thought extra. I'm going to bend this around. I'm going to bend the heavy gauge wire right at that mark. Give it like a little U-turn there. Now I'm going to try the bracelet on. To do that, I insert that into the little U-turn I made with the wire. Shape it like an oval and actually try it on your wrist at this point. If it fits you, that's fine. If not, you might want to cut it down some. If it fits you, then you will continue to make your loop at that spot. If you need to cut it down, you just unthread all your beads and you can cut down some of the Viking knit. I have a spot here that's bugging me. A little loop is popping up there. I'm just going to press that in with the pliers and you can see it went right in. Occasionally I'll have that happen. Also occasionally where you add it on might stick out and you have a little sharp spot, which I find one right here. Don't be afraid to cut that off. You cut that off. You know that you've left a long tail enough that you can cut. Okay, so let's get back to this. If you need to shorten this, you can unthread all your pieces and cut off a little bit of the chain on both sides, like a little, depending on what you need to cut off an even amount. And then you can feed everything back on and change this mark right here so it's down in this area, and that's where you'll begin your second loop. I'm going to make my second loop right here. Change hands, grab this with pliers, and make my second loop right here. Now, this has all been with the non-sterling kit. If in fact you're working with the sterling kit, when you make these loops, you need to also have your jump ring in the mix. So your jump ring needs to be on there because the sterling kit has closed jump rings. So it's a little harder to make the loop because that's in your way. You can see it's right here in your way of making a beautiful loop. But you just do it. And that's, as I say, in your way. So that would be what you do for your non-sterling. Excuse me, your sterling kit. Put it up there. Grab it again. It didn't want me to continue nicely. And then I'm going to wrap this around the stem, making a wrapped loop. Think about the first wrapped loop that you made. You want them to match one another. So go back and look. If you've got 2 wraps on one, make sure you've got 2 wraps on the other. These look pretty even. I'm going to cut this off with my flush cutters. Make sure that that end is tucked in tightly so it doesn't is not sharp. And there you have your Viking knit bracelet. I'm going to have my extra loop over here that can come off now. I just had that there for measuring. So there's your Viking knit bracelet. This happens to be a non-sterling one, but don't forget, if you have your sterling kit, you need to add that jump ring on as you're making your wrapped loop. So there it is. I hope you like it. I hope you've enjoyed the project. Thank you.